Here we go. All right.
I got an airplane going over me. Wait till this fuckhead goes.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Leeson Learned. I am joined today by one of the best comedians in Canada, the top roast comedian. He's also a podcaster and one hell of a dude. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Tyler Morrison is here today.
Hey, thanks for having me, Jeff.
Man, thank you for being here.
Is that really the name of your podcast?
Leeson Learned? Yeah, you didn't even know the name?
No, I didn't even know you had a podcast. This is all fresh to me. This is great.
You're on it. I'm glad you agreed even before the how'd you known the name? Would you have said no?
No, I'd be on for sure.
Okay, good. Good, man. So how are things? How are you?
I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Yeah, just taking it easy for now, waiting for things to open back up, but kind of getting a little bit stir crazy, you know?
Yeah. You're up in Muskoka right now?
Yes. Yeah. So Bracebridge.
And so I guess up there you have you started the is it Cottage Country Comedy Festival?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah. And when did you start that?
So I started the festival back in 2008. I believe that was the year 2008. It was 15 years ago. This is our 15th year. So
oh wow,
it might have been 2007. I don't know. I was drinking a lot in the early years and the later years, and then in the middle the whole time.
Well, that's fair.
Yeah. But we started that back when I think I was 23 when I started the festival, and just kind of looking for some bigger stages to play on with some of my friends who are, you know how it is in the Toronto circuit. You end up playing all these bar gigs where, you know, it's unreliable how many people are going to show up. And It's just a nice treat to get on a theater stage every once in a while and feel like you're doing this for a reason.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And so how long have you been a comedian now?
So oh my God, I think I'm going into year 20. Wow. I started in the fall of 2002 when I was 18. So yeah, I've been at it for a while.
So did you start pretty much like near the end of high school or kind of right after high school was over?
Yeah, right after high school was over, I went to the Humber College comedy program, and that's where I started, because the first 3 weeks of school or whatever, they get you on stage at Yuck Yucks in Toronto. And the first time I ever did stand-up, there was 300 people at the club at Yuck Yucks, and it went pretty good, actually. It was like that false sense of, you know, you're going to make it.
Yeah. Holy shit. 300 people your first show.
It was packed, man.
And you're 18?
Yeah, and just thinking you're the greatest. And
yeah, holy shit.
Chasing the dragon for a while after that. You don't usually get them stacked up like that when you're that early in the game, right? So
was that daunting for you as an 18-year-old, knowing you have to go perform for that many people, or was it just an exciting time?
It was exciting. I was just, you know what? I was so cocky when I first started that I just thought this is how it should be anyway. I totally
this is how it's going to be the whole time.
Yeah, just totally took it for granted. Then you find out pretty quick when you're playing at Kramer's Bar and Grill at Yonge and Davisville, hosted by the immortal David Rubin.
Wow.
Good friend. When you get into doing the open mics in the bars, it's pretty soul sucking after a while, but I mean, that's how you test your mettle, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So what was the process like of getting into Humber? Because I assume it was the school of like comedy writing and performance. Is that what it's called?
Yeah. So the Humber, I think you nailed that. The program there. So it was a 2-year undergrad program that I took, but when you do an audition in front of, I think it was 2 people, maybe 3 people in the room, which is weird. But I did like kind of a monologue from like a comedy script that I wrote. So it was dark comedy sort of thing. And they were laughing. So it went okay. And then when I got in, I was like, okay, this is great, because I wasn't from the city. It was a nice opportunity to go and meet other like-minded people. It was kind of like a vacuum of creative types and a lot of people from small towns. So it was their excuse to come to the city that their parents would understand. It's hard to tell your parents, hey, I'm moving to a big city to become a comedian, because that's not really, especially back then, it wasn't as popular of a choice, a thing to go into. Now I think there's so many people that just take it for granted that you can just go on stage and go into it. The scene's evolved in a big way. And I think we've been exposed to a lot more stand-up comedy. Back then there was still a little bit of a mystique to it, whereas, Twitter and Instagram, just the amount of camera and access to comedians I think that people have now, and podcasts especially. Podcasts bring you into the behind the scenes world of comedy a lot more than that didn't exist when I started. So there still was that mystique. So for people coming from smaller communities, or that don't just have the access to jump up on an open mic every night of the week, people coming in there, it's saying that you're going to college, your parents are like, oh, at least I can get at least they're going to college, I guess. They're going to do something, right? It makes it more palatable, I think, for the families that are involved. Because if you don't have the support, and I think I remember it was your grandmother was a big supporter of yours.
My whole family, but my grandma, my mom especially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it was like I have that, like my dad and my mom, they both support me in stand-up comedy. They love that I'm, they love that that's what I'm doing. But I think, you don't want your kid to have a tough road, and comedy takes a long time to make a living at. And so I think that, that the Humber College program was a really good way to kind of ease into that for some people too. And I met some of my best friends that I ever, met, was through that program. And they're still doing comedy today. Like, I think there was 10 people from my year that they went on to have careers in comedy, whether it's stand up or outside of it. Like, just like comedy adjacent or sketch or acting.
Yeah. So. Wow. So once you graduate, like, how long's the program?
It's a 2-year program, and there's also a 1-year program for people who've a post-grad program. But I was in the 2-year program, and like most people get kicked out after year one. They weed them out really fast, or they did when I was there. It was really funny seeing all the, the people that weren't actually taking it seriously as a profession.
Right.
You see them get laid to waste. And some of them still went on to be successful in comedy, because, you don't necessarily need a program. I think it depends on the type of personality that you are, right?
For sure.
And also if you just want to be a stand-up comic, I mean, the best way to do stand-up is just go and do stand-up. But they offer so many other things. If you want to be well-rounded in the business, I found that was so helpful. The writing for television, acting for TV, all those skills, improv, everything that you kind of need. I guess when you're doing stand-up, it opens doors for those other vocations. And I think having a little bit of training or understanding of how those things work, it certainly, is an advantage in the long run.
What were you like in high school? Were you like a class clown type? Were you in trouble a lot?
Yeah, I was a class clown for sure. I wasn't really in a lot of trouble. I think I'd get out of trouble. I was a bastard, right?
Right.
But I was like Ferris Bueller. I could talk my way out of it and let other people take the fall. Remember one time my good friend and I, we were on the yearbook committee, and there's this guy we didn't like, and he was like the audio visual guy, and he was just totally kissing the teacher's ass all the time, and he'd rat people out. He's just such a nerd, right?
The fucking AV club.
Yeah, and so I'm not gonna say his last name, but we changed his name in the yearbook to AV. That was his first name, and then his last name, and so which is so immature. But it was really funny because we're such dicks, and it's funny to us at the time. But then we get called down to the office. I guess
did it get printed? Did they
got printed? Yeah, we slipped it by, right? We were on the committee. We were the final say, and so we slid that by, and he called he told his parents, and then they called the office. I think it was our like graduating year too, so it was like, extra shitty that we did that. So we get called down to the office, and we just played dumb. We're like, oh no, we didn't play dumb. We just go, oh my god, this happened to you too. Like, this happened to you also? And they're like, yeah. We're like, well, this happened to us too. Someone got us, and we had changed our names in the yearbook to Zach Morris and Thomas Magnum. From Saved by the Bell and Magnum PI, and awesome. So we somehow skated off the hook because we just played like we were also victims in this cruel prank. But yeah, they're just dumb high school shit, immature for sure, and always looking to fuck with people, I guess.
Yeah,
Tom Green just came out around that time, and I love Tom Green and antagonizing people with a video camera.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's brilliant. So do you have that yearbook where one of you is Zach Morris and the other is?
Oh yeah.
Which one were you?
I was Thomas Magnum. I love Magnum PI.
And so was it only the three of you? You two, and then the AV guy that had their names changed?
I think so. We might have changed someone else. There's a few dorks that we like to pick on.
Yeah.
I don't know. We for sure it was us three. I don't know if we got anyone else. There might have been a couple.
Man, brilliant. That's one of the better high school pranks I've heard. So that's forever.
We got away with it.
I mean, that guy can't pull out his final yearbook. If he has kids or something, he can't like pull it out and be like, here's me, the AV guy.
This is when I get clowned on. Yeah. This is when they used to clown on me. That type of stuff though, looking back on it, it's kind of amusing, but it's also, I don't know. I wish I was maybe a little nicer to people, but then again, I wouldn't be as funny as I am today if I didn't go too far at certain times. And you figure out exactly the temperature and how to do that without it being, I don't know, like harmful to people, I guess.
What was the most trouble you got in high school, like as a teenager?
Trouble. Oh my God.
Anything you ever did that was just caused either legal trouble or just trouble with the parents that was like, I can't believe you've done this?
I never got in legal trouble. What did we do? Okay, there's a few things that we did. We got into a fight with a cab driver at like this party, and then and nothing happened to us there. Like we just had like an altercation, but it like got kind of violent. And like other people at the party saw that we were getting into a fight with this cabbie, and so then they started smashing up his car, and that wasn't good. Then we left. Like there wasn't any like fist throwing or anything like that. It was just like he was trying to stiff us over on some on the fare, and so then we called one of our buddies and left a voicemail at his parents' house pretending to be the cab company and saying that we're all getting charged. And then he didn't get a hold of us before he talked to everyone else that was involved. So everyone thought that they were getting in trouble for this cab incident, but really it was us pretending to be the cab company. And so these two guys that were in our close circle of friends, they were driving back from like hockey or something with their dad was driving them, and they go by my other friend's house that was with me that we made the call, and there's police there for like some other reason. Like it wasn't like even a thing like a crime or anything. They're just there. A friend was a police officer, and they see the police car in the driveway. So these two guys just break down crying and like spill the beans to their dad, like tell the dad that they're getting charged. And then they find out that they're not being charged, and now we're the assholes. So that was funny. And then another time, like I think it was like one of my friends, he had $10,000 accidentally put into his bank account. So we convinced him we got to go out and go party. And So we're taking this like horrible cab all over York Region, and York Region's pretty far, and we're just going to all these dumb places, spending the money. We went bowling, and
Awesome.
I think we pissed away like 10 grand, and then he had to pay it all back.
Shit. Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So
So once you're done at Humber, and you're kind of getting into comedy, like what was the path like after you're done the program? Do you just start doing open mics? Did you have to get like a real job for a while? What was that like?
Yeah, so I always, when I first started, when I was in college and like right before, I was working at a gas station. So I worked at a gas station for a while, and then I was, once I left Humber and stuff, then I started working, landscaping jobs, and I worked landscaping for a while, a little bit in Toronto, and then mostly back, like when I moved back up to Muskoka. So I was working landscaping, and that's when I started my festival. So I'm on the phone at job sites talking to sponsors, and like I'm selling sponsorship while there's people jackhammering shit, and like just real blue collar, just making it happen, just doing whatever it took. And I was fortunate that I had some good bosses along the way that understood I was never going to be a lifelong, landscaping guy. I was always going to be, this is what I was always using it as a means to get, established in my own field and then step into it,
Right.
just to pay the bills. And they're usually pretty good about it. I'm actually wearing a landscaping hat right now. Imagine landscaping. My dad is he just retired from a company called Unilock, and Unilock is the paving stone retaining wall company.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, that's where my family roots come from, is landscaping and all that. So that's how I got into that stuff. But yeah, I had like a really cool boss, Steve Good. He was the man. Steve Good, he knew I was a comic before I started working for him. So like he already liked my comedy. He knew it was, that he gave me the freedom to kind of come and go as I got those gigs if I needed to take off a little bit early, because I'm living a couple hours away from the city. So if I got to go down to Toronto for an important show, he gave me the free reign to go and do those shows. And I think it's important that you have a job like that where, your boss is understanding that, you're also trying to chase a dream too,
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking, imagine landscaping sounds like a place that doesn't actually do any work. They just tell you what it could look like. And then they're like, imagine this is what, so we're good. You can do it. No, not us. We're just telling you imagine it. And then we'll find a place for you to actually do it.
It's like my other company. I was thinking about starting 2 guys, 1 rake. And it's just my brother and I, just one of us is hungover sleeping in the work truck, and the other guy's, power bombing leaves.
I'm in as an investor. If you ever, I'll pay for half the rake if you need it. That's great, man. So what was the first time? Do you remember the first time that somebody actually paid you money to do comedy?
Yeah. You know what? I think my first time getting paid was a gig in Shelburne at the Legion.
Oh yeah.
And so it was a clean show. And it was a whole bunch of comics who were from Humber. So it was Larry Horowitz, who was the guy who is the head of the stand-up department, or the stand-up course at Humber. And he was a comic for many years. Very, funny dude, man. Larry Horowitz knows his shit. Like the business side of it, that guy taught me more than most people about the business and everything like that. And Larry Horowitz hooked us up with this gig at this Legion, and I think there was like 10 comics on there, and he wanted me to go last because I think I was a little bit more advanced than what was some of the other comics early on that were on the gig. And I got there, and there's like, I forget who it was, but this guy was like, one of the comics was like, no, you're not going last. Like, you're too dirty or whatever for the show. And his name was Heath Milo, I think was his name. And I remember him being a little prick about it. And so I'm like, all right, whatever. If you want.
Sounds like an AV club member.
Yeah, exactly. But, I never had a problem with him before that. But then I thought that was kind of weak. And so I'm like, okay, if you want to follow me, then go right ahead, you know? And then I remember going in the middle, and I worked clean, and I actually remember, because I knew it was going to be a bunch of old people. I dressed kind of I wore like a suit jacket. Like I looked a little bit more professional than what college kids are going to look like, the other ones on the show. And I remember rocking the show, and it was a downhill slide after that, because, you know, you don't put the best in the middle, baby.
It's valuable advice.
That was the first time I got paid, I think. And then after that, I've never done a free show since.
Yeah, you know, that's a very common thing. I think a lot of people maybe outside of comedy, or that have never really done this, don't quite understand that feeling of having somebody go on before you, or even right before you, or, you know, a few people before you that you just can't follow. That's a very tough situation.
Wouldn't know about it.
Have you ever? I was just gonna say, have you ever been in that situation where you were just maybe not quite ready to headline, or somebody went on and just, it doesn't even have to be not being ready too. It could just be somebody catches fire on something.
Buddy,
and
it happens,
just tough to follow.
It happens to everyone. I don't think I've ever been outclassed in the sense where I don't do a good job, but I've definitely had people who on before me catch a hot one, and it's like the crowd's already seen exactly what they needed to see with that comic. So especially with my personality of I do a little bit darker, I can be kind of like a villain. So if they're looking for a hero and they see a really, friendly, warm comic, the prime example, and I've talked about this before, is a guy like Mike Rita, super funny fucking dude. Rita definitely got the better of me one night in Hamilton, and it was like they had just seen their savior, and then I come on and I'm an asshole. And so it's just like, I was getting laughs, but it was very like stop and start. I just couldn't build momentum with them. And I think I picked the wrong opener. There's a couple things that happened in between him and me. With the host said she was going to just bring me right on, which was like, okay, now I'll just ride the momentum. But then the host decided to do some time. And then I still did the joke that I was planning to do to ride the momentum, whereas I should have done a different joke to rebuild. There's all these it's a game of inches, and certain times you can really set yourself back. Like if you open with the wrong thing, you're digging out of a hole all of a sudden. And I was digging out of a hole on that show totally. But it's happened only a couple times that I can think of where I've been on last and I felt like, oh, someone got me. That doesn't happen often. So props to, whoever's done that. I'll fucking get you the next time.
Yeah, it's always good to have it. Like if that does happen, it's always good if it happens on a weekend. Like where it happens on the Thursday, but you got Friday or Saturday coming up to get it back. Yeah,
get the chance to redeem yourself, right?
Yeah,
I've had it when I'm hosting too, where like off the top they're not really digging me, and then like the middle act will get them, and then I'm like, okay, now I can actually redeem myself here, and like it's nice that you can come back up.
Yeah,
and kind of turn the tide, but headlining, it doesn't happen too often. You also get, when you're headlining, you get the benefit of the doubt often too, like when because they build you up, and then as long as you're good, you
mentioned that kind of darker style. Have you always had that? Was that right from day one, or did you? Yeah. And where did that come from? Were you influenced in some way by certain comics, or was that just kind of always the type of humor that you enjoyed?
The genesis of it probably comes from like my dad has a dark sense of humor. So I picked that up early. And then, so I always found, that type of stuff funny. And I'm trying to think, if I really look back, what kind of shaped my sense of humor early is the movie Problem Child. Child 1 and 2, super dark, funny movies. But if you watch those movies, they hold up and they're really funny still. It's not just like, the bad kid. It's not just the concept. It's like everything that happens in that movie is super layered and funny. And and I remember like finding that hilarious as a kid, and 1 and 2 both super dark funny movies, and I think that warped me early and just set me on a course. And stand up wise, Andrew Dice Clay, I remember being, I guess I was intrigued by what this is because I was in a movie store, and young people might not relate to this, but we used to go to the movie store back then. Yep. And you'd see all the boxes of the movies with the VHS tapes. And I just remember seeing like this one with this guy, he's got this like, shiny leather jacket, and it says Dice Rules, guaranteed to offend. I'm like, what is this? Like, and then, I just love the arrogance.
Oh yeah.
And I always found arrogance so funny. Like I love watching someone who's arrogant rub other people the wrong way. I think that's so fun to watch. And I love being like a mock arrogance is so funny to me, and seeing how it drives people berserk. So watching wrestling was probably a big influence on me. Like I love Rick the Model Martel, people like that.
Wow.
Wow. Like really, really elaborate $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. I love how they just drive people berserk. I do love the wrestling villain. Roddy Piper was my hero. You know what? Going way back when I was a kid, my mom says I always cheered for the villain when I was like young. So like 2-3 years old, Roddy Piper was my favorite when he was a bad guy, like WrestleMania 1 type shit.
Yeah.
And so,
wow.
so I was into that like heel culture, I think. And I've always ran with it. But yeah, Dice Clay, Eddie Murphy. I love that brash, charismatic, say whatever the fuck you want. That type of freedom that really appealed to me, especially as an adolescent, early high school. That definitely set things in motion that like, oh, okay, I want to be one of these guys. And I remember thinking like, maybe I just want to write, and, like I was thinking maybe I want to write for like Saturday Night Live or write for other people. But once I did stand up the first time, I'm like, I don't need to write for anyone else. Fuck them. Like I'm going to take these and get the glory.
Oh, hey, what's up, guys? I hope you're enjoying this episode of Leeson Learned. Thank you for being here. Thanks for watching the show. I'm just having a quick coffee break with Rampage Coffee, my favorite coffee in the world. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard of this company, but they're doing huge things. It's a husband and wife owned company. Canadian owned, Canadian made, baby. Owned by a husband and a wife. Together. They work together every day. Could you do that with your husband or your wife? A lot of you are shaking your head right now. You can't believe it. These people work together day in, day out. Delicious specialty coffee, roasted fresh and delivered right to your doorstep. You can become a Rampage Coffee member and subscribe to get coffee delivered to you as often as you want at a discounted price. You can also earn Rage points and use them to buy coffee and merchandise like this hat, this t-shirt here, which is, I love it. It's my new favorite shirt, and a coffee mug with a gun on it. How many coffee mugs do you have that have a gun on the side? I bet the answer is 0, because that was my answer before I got this. They've got a high caffeine blend that'll kick your ass in gear. They got medium, dark, and espresso blends. Espresso. I always say espresso, but it's espresso. You can try all 4 of the blends in the sampler bundle. I have tried it. I recommend it, and I recommend you get some. Head on over to their website right now. Get yourself some coffee right to your doorstep. And a huge thank you to Rampage Coffee for sponsoring this episode of Leeson Learned. This episode of Leeson Learned is sponsored by the Big Fish Steak and Lounge in Sarnia, Ontario. One of my personal favorite restaurants in the world. I was going to say in the country, but no, in the world. They have some of the greatest food I have ever had. Every single time I eat there, I think to myself, it will never get better than what I have just eaten. And the next time I go back, they top it once again. It's that good. If you live in the Sarnia area, make sure you book your reservation for lunch or dinner, or hell, book your reservation for both right now. Do it tonight. What are you going to cook for dinner tonight? Probably something awful. Don't do that. Head on over to the Big Fish Steak and Lounge. If you don't live in Sarnia, I suggest you make a trip down just for the food, or if you're going to be in the area, stop in and have one of the greatest meals you will ever have. Have you found that your style has it hurt you like in certain ways? Have you had pushback with clubs, bookers, festivals, anything like that because it's a bit of a darker style?
I think that, you know what, I don't think that there's really anyone in this country that's like me. So I think that makes it a little bit of a, if you're booking a safe thing, that's, you know, a lot of the festivals are CBC related. They're, you know, a little bit corporate clean, right. or they're not clean, but they're not, you know, don't say something that's off the handle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When they have what they do is they book the clean comics for their galas, and then they double dip off of those comics, because they just think that those comics can do the dirty show too. Why bring someone in specifically for the dirty show when we can just use the guys who are already here? So there is a little bit of that. I understand that, like booking a festival, you want to get, you know, the most bang for your buck if you can. But I do think that there is that too. So if you are doing, if you're notorious for a darker or dirtier style, you narrow the road of maybe who is going to think of you first. Like, they're not going to think of, when they think of clean comedy, they're not going, oh, Tyler Morrison's the perfect guy for this. You know what I mean? Right. Even though I can do clean comedy, and I feel like I have proven it. I've done CBC things. I've done showcases where I've done very well working clean, but I just don't think that, you know, if they can book a guy every 2 years who is, I guess, maybe my, whatever the demographic that they, you know how they book these things like they're sitcoms, you know, they want to have a diverse lineup, and there, you know, there's only room for a couple straight white guys right now. Yeah. And, you know, if there's a guy who they've used before that is already proven clean, that they know is the, you know, similar to me, they're not going to take a chance on me. They're going to use the guy that they've used before who's done well for them. So I don't begrudge anyone like that for that. But in the same end, you know, it'd be nice to see people taking a few more chances in this country. Just in content. I mean, I think we just need more. I think we just need more people doing content, so people have to compete, because there's only so many spots, and it's like they don't have to compete with anyone.
Yeah.
So like, if you know what I mean? Like in America, they have to compete, so people are taking some risks to compete. Whereas in Canada, you just play safe, right? You know, you're going to book the safer thing to keep your job safe. But in America, there is a little bit of competition, and I think Canada can have that. We just have to be more industrious ourselves. We have to create our own things and get the audiences, because, you know, the networks and the the bookers and people who are involved in comedy and TV and all that, they respond to numbers, right? If I'm going to sell 1,000 seats, they're going to book me. Right. They want to make money off you. Like it's a money game. So there is that, you know, when people say be undeniable, it's not necessarily be undeniable that you're so funny, because they'll still deny you. But if you're undeniable at the box office, that's a whole other thing, because they'll never deny money.
That's a great point. Yeah, absolutely. It's really about, I would say the industry is really, I mean, it always has been, but especially now is really about ticket sales. It's like, how are you selling tickets? Are you a YouTube star? Are you Instagram? You know, the festival stuff, the days of like somebody getting plucked out of something at a festival because somebody thinks they're going to be good is sort of not over. I'm sure that still happens, but it's not. I don't think it's as common now as who can put the most people in the most seats.
Exactly. And like, I don't begrudge, like I said, I don't begrudge anyone that hasn't bought into me on that side of it. Like, that's just, they do what they do. And the people that have, I've just, gravitate more towards them because I know who's got my back in the industry, and I know who maybe is hesitant and, got a pretty good idea who doesn't like me. But it's like, it doesn't matter as long as I'm doing my own thing. Cause I could conform to what they want and play the game and wait in line for the little cookie to get on this or get on that. But that's not what it's about for me. For me, it was like, okay, what am I going to be as big as I can be by playing that game? Or do I have to just focus on, instead of swimming against the stream by trying to work clean and trying to fit into their boxes, I just got to focus on what do I do best and become great at that. And
Right.
whether that rubs this people that way, the wrong way, or, whoever, let them jump on board when it's their time to jump on board, or get the fuck out of the way. Cause I'm going one way and it doesn't matter. And I say this to any young comic, build your army now. Don't worry about what these people are doing. Like, there are guys that can play the game. And if you find that you're skillful in that and you can play the game, then play the game, right? Some people still get on the trough. Getting on the trough, that'd be fucking great, right? Getting a little, little cookie every now and again from the industry people. Who doesn't love a freebie? I love getting a little freebie.
Yeah.
Hey, throw me a freebie once in a while, guys. I'm still nice. Like, just because on stage I'm a dick. I'm a nice guy off stage.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I just kind of said, okay, I'm focusing solely on my act and on my material, and I'm going to let the material do the talking. I'm going to build up a body of work that if I was to die tomorrow, I would be proud that I've done this and gotten to have the experiences that I've gotten. I've taken, not take it for granted, all the cool opportunities that I've had. Because if I sit back and look at the opportunities I have got just from, working hard and, knowing, having, making good relationships, I mean, I'd be a real fucking bitch if I was complaining about what I've got in this industry, just because I haven't got that.
Right.
Man, like, how many people can say that they've got an opportunity to go on stage at Massey Hall for 3,000 people? They weren't there to see me specifically. I've just got the opportunity to perform for that many people. And I remember thinking, I can't wait to do this when they're here for me. But at the same end, just getting that opportunity to taste that, that's cool. You can't deny that, right?
And was that opening for Stanhope?
No, that was the Yuck Yucks Massey Hall New Year's Eve show.
The New Year's gig. Oh, yeah. Because you worked with Stanhope a couple times, right?
One time. So Doug was in Toronto, and I got the call from Mace Galone, actually, because Mace had opened for him when he was in not in Hamilton, but Mace is from Hamilton. But when Doug was there the last year, and then Mace had moved out to Vancouver. So when Doug's people asked Mace to open for him in Toronto, he says he's not out there, but he recommended me. And so, and I think he recommended a couple people, and they checked it out, and they got in touch, and Mace called me to tell me that they wanted me to open for Doug. So I was like, oh, this is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
That was amazing. One of the times too, I think, where maybe I didn't have a huge string of hits going. The momentum was maybe just neutral at the time. And then I was like, oh, this is getting that call, man. That just makes you feel so good. It was one of those ones where when the phone rings, you're just fuck, this, finally I get something good coming my way. And that one felt real good. And then it just the show went great. And he was Doug was such a cool guy to me. He was so nice. You don't really want to meet guys that are your favorite comics, because they could be assholes.
Yeah.
But he certainly wasn't that. And so that was a really cool experience. And I made lots of new fans from that show. They a lot of people come out to my shows, and they hit me up and say, we saw you at this, and now we're bringing all of our friends. I love when that happens. That's the best advertisement you can get as a dark comedian in Canada, is opening for a comedian who's in that kind of I guess that genre of comedy that has a big following, if you can get that opening spot, that's more valuable than doing a CBC gala and pretending that you're a clean comic. So, getting, because you're actually making fans, you can convert their fans over to you, because now Canadians get to see, hey, we have someone that does this style of comedy here. We've just never been exposed to it before. And so those opening slots are crucial.
What is the most, you strike me as a person who would enjoy someone coming to see you and being horrified by what they heard. Not everybody, not a full room, but just like, say there's 200 people and 199 of them are dying laughing, and there's one person that's just absolutely horrified. So you seem like somebody who would, not that it's what you're trying to do, but just somebody who would enjoy the look on their face. Am I right or wrong?
I think you're wrong, and I'll tell you why. Because my goal is to get those people on board. I want to convert everyone to like go as far as they will go with me. And I don't like when people resist, and I find people aren't offended so much as they have their guard up these days. People talk about how comedy fans are so easily offended. I don't think that's the case. I think it's that they have their guard up now because of all the noise on social media and all the crying and trying to cancel people. Now the average common person, that's gotten into them. Like that's like penetrated how the mainstream operates, and now everyone second guesses themselves. So when they go to a comedy show, it's like that corporate situation now, because when you used to do a corporate show, if the lights are on and the boss is there, no one wants to be seen laughing in front of the boss at something that's maybe inappropriate. Well, right. Now it's like there's this like invisible boss at every show that might get you in trouble if you laugh, and people are really guarded. It's like, so the first part of the show, you're trying to get them to unfold their arms, then you're trying to get them to let their shoulders down, and then you're trying to break their guard every single show now. And that's why it's sweet when you get a show like Doug Stanhope or Andrew Schultz, when the fans are there specifically for that. Then you can go on and just kill, because it's like, oh yeah, the guard's already down, right? They've already subscribed to this. They've already, consented that when they came in, this is what we're here for. Whereas, in the comedy clubs, people still go to the comedy shows to see comedy as a genre, not as to see the end of a specific act. So when people don't Google me or YouTube me, and I'm playing, I'm the last, the headliner of the club that weekend, and they show up and they're scowling at me. It's like, who doesn't Google what they're going to see? Like, do you not like watch the preview of a movie at least before going to see it? Like, what are you doing? And why are you at a comedy show when you are so stuck up and just don't want to get into it? So I do get a little bit annoyed by those people, but I don't mind ruining their night. But it's like, I'd rather them have a good time. You know what I mean? Like, it's kind of funny to me afterwards. It is funny afterwards, the train wreck, but yeah, I enjoy, there is a sick level of, okay, if you're going to be an asshole, I'm going to torture you. But at the same end, my first choice, and I've always wanted to be, I want to be funny first. Like, offensive is just part of it. Offensive's funny because, you should be saying stuff that people can't see anywhere else. When you come to a comedy club, that's what you want. That's what you should want to see is things that you're not supposed to hear anywhere else. It's like this, there's like an energy about live stand-up where there should be an element of danger to it. I think that makes it exciting, that makes it fun. And when you want to just see, I think it also falls on our industry a little bit for pushing a little bit too much pablum to people in the mainstream. Like,
yeah,
maybe they're too used to having their bums powdered by what's on TV. We came to see the CBC show. It's like, well, pay more money. go to the theater for that.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have you must have a few of these, but what's the most horrified somebody has ever been at you, or has anybody ever tried to attack you or anything crazy like that?
Oh yeah, I've had a bunch of that. Try to think.
Oh, yeah.
I just try to, I've probably made at least 10 women cry like during shows. Like
Wow.
that happens. But I feel like a lot of that is not me singling someone out. It's just that I've said something that's like they've come out to the show and they're not prepared to hear that. It's baggage that they brought in with them. Because there was
Yeah.
I was doing a show with Casey Corbin and Nigel Grinstead, both hilarious dudes.
Yeah.
And we're at this like resort in Calabogie up in the Ottawa Valley. And I was doing my set and everything was going all right. I was in the middle and it was a resort crowd and like a ballroom. And I could tell they weren't really into super dark stuff. So I was playing it a little bit more middle of the road because I'm not on last too, right? So I'm setting up Casey at the end. I want it to be a good show. I don't want to like run the whole crowd out of here on them, you know?
Right.
So I don't know what I said, but I guess during the course, near the end of my set, I turned this table against me in the front, but no one heckled me, but there was a bit of a commotion. Next thing I know, my set ends and I'm fine. Like I'm just chilling at the back and Casey's doing his set and he starts getting into it with this table because there's a problem there. And he goes, "What's going on here?" And the guy goes, "There is a woman out in the lobby crying right now because of what that last comedian said." I don't know what it was that I said. I have no idea. And I guess her and her husband got into a fight, like a domestic in the lobby. And then like the lobby security had to come in, like all the hotel security had to come in and break it up. And so like that happened. And then we thought that these guys, you know, the one guy that was getting real mad was a pretty big dude. And you could tell he was one of those like lifer construction worker guys that
Right. Oh yeah.
it's probably not going to be the first fight that you choose. You know, he's not the first guy that you want to fight. But I remember like Casey's like, "We should probably get the fuck out of here." And I'm like, "I'm not going anywhere. Like if this guy wants to fight me, fuck him. Like we'll go." Because I just don't like the idea of running away. And
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
if I gotta go, we gotta go. If I lose, all right. But I still think he's in the wrong there because you came to the comedy show to hear jokes. I told jokes. It was all
Yeah.
very clear that it was that. You know what I mean? Like I didn't
Yeah.
breach my contract. I didn't even single anyone out. It wasn't even.
Yeah.
like
It's not
that.
like you
So,
went at her specifically
yeah.
for something. Yeah.
If someone wants to fight, we got to go. We got to go, right? And then his buddy comes over. I'm like, "All right, here we go." He comes and the guy comes over. He goes, "Guys, just got to say, really sorry for my table, apologizing for the table." He's like, "You guys are hilarious. That's on them." He's like, "What are you drinking?" He buys us all drinks. I'm like, "See, if we had a fucking ran
Nice.
away, we wouldn't have got drinks." So, but yeah, sometimes people get worked up. I know that like on my stand-up special that I shot there, it's called Too Soon. There's at least 20 people walked out of the show. They had to carry a guy in a wheelchair out. They had to carry him out of the club. And then there was an old man wanted to fight me after the show.
How
Like,
old?
he gave me you see it. He was like 70 probably.
Oh wow.
And you see him flip me off at the very end as I'm walking off. We had an altercation and I didn't like full transparency. I cut the altercation that I had with him during the show out of the special because it was also being released as an album. And he interrupted me in the middle of a bit that I really wanted on it. And we were recording the two shows.
Yeah.
So I kept the bit on as opposed to, you know, the interaction wasn't anything special. It was actually kind of like a bit of a dip in momentum. I don't feel like it went that good. He didn't speak English very well. So it just wasn't like it was just kind of like a bit of a buzzkill on it. And then I had to dig out a little bit because it got awkward. And there was like, the security should have just thrown the guy out, but they're like dealing with like at least 10, 15 people at that point that are like wanting refunds and and I was doing well for the majority of the crowd, but there is definitely, I'd say there's a hard 25% that are hating me on this special. And like, I left it, you know, pretty bold what happened in the room. But at the end, so I kind of dig out of that and I changed my closer that I was going to do because I could just tell the crowd is not going to go with this closer that I was going to do.
Right.
And it was because it's a long one. It's like a 10, 15 minute bit where there's some bumps and bruises. If I'm killing, I will go there. But and I probably would have went there too if it wasn't like a clear-cut kill. But at this point, I felt like I needed to send a fuck you to everyone by killing. Like I had to close on a kill as the fuck you. Like that's how my mind works. It's always, how do I get one up on these motherfuckers that don't like me?
Absolutely.
So I close on like a different bit, and it goes really well at the end. And as I'm walking off, I see him start jawing at me again, right? He's front row. He starts yipping at me. So I look at him and I give him the old WWE style bad guy wrestler move. I blow a kiss at him. I'm like, just air kiss. And you can see me air smooch if you.
Is this from the stage, or are you off stage now?
I'm walking off the stage, but the camera's right there and catches this exchange perfectly. And I blow the kisses. I turn the head and I just walk straight to the green room. And like I just grab a beer and go right up to the green room and chill. But as I'm walking off, after I blow the kiss, you see him just flip me off. And then the camera zooms in on the middle finger and freezes on that. And that's how the special ends. I think it's like one of the most punk rock things I've ever seen, regardless of whether it was me. It was just, I thought it was so funny that Tyler Chasma, who filmed it, and I think those guys involved in your specials too?
Yeah, they were involved in one of them. Yeah. A couple years ago.
They're great guys, right? The Silver Drop Media, and they do awesome stuff. And the fact that he caught that flip off was like the greatest thing for me. I'm like, oh, that's so good. I'm so happy that he got that, because it was pretty funny. And then the old man wanted to fight me after, but I'd rinse an old man. You know what I mean? Like, I'll fucking one punch you, Charlie. You're going down. And I'm not above it, but
oh shit. So nothing physical ever happened. It was just
nothing physical happened there. I mean, other shows, I've had brawls, like a few where what happened? Oh, there's a biker one time. This is early in my career. I was like 19, I think. I was doing like a house party show, and there's like 400 people, and it was like all different ages. It was like,
how many people?
Like 400 people there
at a house party.
Yeah. Out in the woods, man. It was out in the woods, and this biker was there, and he starts heckling me and comes on stage, and I'm like, oh shit, like this guy's a big guy and he's really drunk, but he wanted to tell a joke. So this is 19-year-old. Like they say never give up the microphone, but like I don't know, man. He wanted to tell a joke and he was drunk. I'm like, if I give this guy the mic, he's gonna embarrass himself. And so I think I'm better off letting him embarrass himself than me embarrass him.
Right.
So I give him the mic and they boo him off the stage. And then I get to make a couple jokes as he's walking off type thing, and just move into the show, move right back in. And that's what happened. And he was embarrassed. So he left the party, I guess, but he had a couple friends that were just like his little hang around, like guys who, they weren't part of any affiliated or, I don't even know what he was. I'm not going to say if he was anything, but the guys that were with him, they weren't hardcore bikers or anything. They're just a couple punks that wanted to impress him. And so one of the guys broke a beer bottle and tried to come at me, and someone at the party, like an older guy, got a hold of him and got the bottle off of him. And people started pushing these guys to there's a long, driveway, like a stone driveway, right? Like it's just country roads goes out. So everyone's like, kind of like, there's like a mob of people pushing these guys back to the edge of the driveway to get them off the property. And they're still yapping. And I'm up at the front talking shit. And, the one guy is like my age. He's like 18. The other guy's I think he was 36. And this is one, I was 19 and the other guy was 19. And then the other guy was 36. And then I just look over my shoulder and my best friend comes running in. He just punches the younger guy right in the face and just drops this kid. And he gets on him and starts pounding him. And I'm just like, yes. So I grab the other guy, the older guy, and I start feeding him his lunch. And I start up the chainsaw on this fucking duster. And I just go to work, and I know I got him. Like I got him like all tied up, and I just got when you're, I don't know if you know this, but like the feeling of like when you got the rhythm on someone and you're just pumping them feels so good, because they got nowhere to go. They're all disoriented. But we're on the road now, and there's like no street lights, so you can't really see. It's pretty dark. Next thing I know, like one of my other friends jumps in and starts like beating on this guy with me. And I didn't like that because I'm like a one-on-one guy. Like I don't subscribe to, gang beating anyone. I don't think that's cool. And I was like, but like, I'm in the middle of the fight. Like what am I supposed to do? Next thing you know, I just hear, Tyler, you're hitting me. I was just punching my friend too, because I couldn't see anything. So, but that's what he gets. Cause you don't gang beat someone, that's not cool. Right. That's not my style. Yeah. So, I hit my friend. I hit this guy, this other guy. Anyway, that was like early in my career. That type of shit was happening, and then had a couple more scraps afterwards. But nothing since I was like probably early mid-20s. I've been, I got fat and no one wants to fuck with me now. They look like I hit too hard, or they feel bad for me because I'm the old man comic now.
Man, that is a crazy story. Like that's and to happen so early too. Like for you be what were you, like a year in at that point?
Yeah, I was a year in, but when I was a year in, I was doing the craziest shit as a stand-up comic, and I had no sense of when to do what joke. Like I just go full guns. It was like there was zero tact. It was just the darkest, dirtiest, and the jokes were funny, but I didn't have the command of the stage presence because I haven't been doing it for, you need 10 years to really find that, like I had like a put on cockiness or confidence, but it wasn't where where you're actually truly comfortable with yourself up there. Like that's where I'm at now. I can thrive in the moment when there's tension and, maybe some discomfort with certain audience members. Like on Too Soon, that's exactly the type of show. Like I'm like a psychopath out on a joyride during that show. But then, that type of like confidence that lets, so if you show 1 ounce of hesitance or weakness when you're doing that type of material, that's what gives people confidence to go against you. Right. If you show any weakness, they want to go against you. Like those drunk dudes, if I showed any sense of weakness on stage, it could have been worse. I could have been getting heckled by 400 people. You have to, but you have to feel, you have to be in control. Every crowd, they want a leader. They want to follow a leader. They just want a good leader. If you're not a good leader, you show weakness, they will tear you down.
You have a podcast called Fight Stories, right?
Yeah, I think I got to get in a couple more fights, and we've done a few episodes, and I'm running out of stories to tell on there.
So how did that podcast come about? Was it based on these types of stories and just thought we should talk about these?
A little bit, yeah. So I used to have a podcast called Rude Dudes with Tom O'Donnell and Jarrett Campbell, and it was such a fun podcast. And one of the things that always stood out to me on that podcast was when we get talking about fights that, that we've been in or our guests had been in. And those were always the most entertaining stories to me. And we had a guest on who's a comedian named John Moses, and he's a Toronto guy. He's based out of New Jersey, New York comic for a long time. Really funny dude. And he was on Rude Dudes and telling some fight stories on there. And we got talking after. He's like, I want to do an album called Fight Stories where I tell 5 fight stories, 2 wins, 2 losses, and a draw. And I said, that's great. But like, what about this? What if we did it as a podcast? Because like every time we're doing fight stories on this podcast, it's always the funniest. Hey, my daughter just poked her head. Yeah, my daughter just poked her head in the back.
Oh, I'm glad it's your kid at least.
Yeah. Hey, could we turn the cameras off?
How many kids do you have?
2 that I know of. Guys, go play, have fun. I'll see you soon. Go on the trampoline. Okay.
Father of the year here. Go play, man, have fun. Jump around.
No one's ever seen the duality of me where I'm like actually a good person. We're gonna edit that in post.
Oh man. Have you how old are they?
6 and 3.
Did anything about your comedy or like your style or anything, did it change when you had kids at all?
No, not really. I was worried when I always remember when I was younger, I was like, I don't know if I want to have kids because I feel like kids might make me like softer, you know what I mean? And it is true where it's like you definitely feel things differently, or you see something on the news or TV, you can relate a little bit more. I think there's things that you can never relate to when it comes to kids if you're not a parent, and it's just feelings that you never had before. Like making jokes about dead kids and shit or whatever. But like that shit's still fun to do as long as it's not my kid. Fuck. As long as it's your kid, not mine. No.
I also want to just briefly here before I let you go, talk a little bit about roasting, because
Sure.
Obviously you're a well-known roast comic. You've done a lot of roasts. I think you've written for some roasts as well that you weren't on. Is that right?
Yeah, I wrote on a few that I wasn't on. Nothing like on Comedy Central or anything like that, because I'm not American, right? I don't have the visa. But I wrote my buddy Andrew Schultz, who, I mean, most comedy fans know him, but if you don't know who he is, check him out. Very funny stand-up comic, one of the biggest right now. But
one of my favorites for sure.
He's the man, right? And he roasted the Toronto Raptors in Las Vegas at like a team event. I think one of his childhood friends is Bobby Webster from the Raptors. So they brought Schultz in to roast them, and he hired me to write jokes with him for it. And we just like totally smashed the Toronto Raptors, and that was so fun.
Oh, that's awesome.
I love being, even if it's not me writing or performing those jokes, I do enjoy writing roast jokes for other people and seeing how they go. And then I wrote on the Big J Okerson roast that they did. I don't know. I think that was on Anthony Cumia's Compound Media. I think that's what that was on when they did that. So it was Big J Okerson's roast. I was writing some jokes for Dave Smith of Legion of Skanks on that one.
Oh, nice. What is the key to a good roast joke, would you say, if anything?
Yeah, I try and find the weak spot, whatever the person's weakness is, and exploit it and hit it the hardest and most, like, just in the most concise, fastest point A to point B, destroy that person. How do you just take them and break their neck? When I do roasts, I always want to be the biggest bully on the block. So when I come in, I have no respect for anyone. I don't give a fuck who they are. Like when I did the Iron Sheik roast for the first time, I was like, and no, like I'm still kind of unknown, but at that time I was really unknown. I was not notorious for doing any of this, and so all the comics on that stage had way more credentials than me. There's a lot of Americans and some celebrities, and like Gilbert Gottfried's on there, but I just treated them all like absolute nothing. Like they mean fucking nothing to me. And that's so funny to me, being the person that's like, all they're gonna say about me is that I'm a nobody. But like to me, they're nothing. And so like I give them zero respect. So then I'm not in awe of them, and it makes it much easier to just wreck them. So Gilbert Gottfried, the one thing that I said to him that I thought, I don't know why this made me laugh the most about, like, it's maybe not the best, it's not like the most structured or element of surprise, but I go, Gilbert Gottfried, my mom was going to come to the show tonight, but she can't fucking stand you. And I just think there's something funny about someone's mom not like telling someone your mom doesn't like them, like, because it makes you go, oh man, like you for whatever reason you always want someone's mom to like you.
Right.
But I just thought that was fun to do. And then I think I had another one like oh shit. Fuck, I can't remember. There's a bunch of like jokes though that like where I just try and in the shortest amount of time destroy someone. Like Tony Hinchcliffe was one of the guys. I remember I did a joke where I said, Tony Hinchcliffe, I'd tell you to hang yourself, but nooses don't come in V-necks.
Nice.
And it's just you just find like that one little personality trait or quirk or something. Like he always was wearing those little sweaters, right? And like,
yeah.
And Hinchcliffe's a funny fucking dude too, man. So even though he got fake canceled.
Yeah, he's he got in some hot water recently.
Yeah, that's bullshit what they try to do to him though. Like you could, if you watch the actual clip that Ari Shaffir posted, you can tell he's going for the wrestling heel turn there. Like it's much more clear, and and you can see in his eyes that he's joking. And I know him too, so it's I can tell when a guy is like, you got that little glimmer in your eye, right? It's not like hatred, malice, like when when Kramer flipped his shit. But from the other angle, the first angle that came out, it was further back. You can't see his facial expression. So there's so many things, like that's what happens to comics when they get in this hot water online too, is when they post the joke just in print, it's in black and white. You lose the element of how did they say it? You lose the element of what's the facial expression? Is there like a wink, wink? You lose that. And comedy is very much 3D, like stand-up comedy is very much a three-dimensional art form. And when you boil it down and take out that and put it in 2D, you definitely lose some of that medium and that context. You lose a lot of context when you take away facial expressions and how like the inflection on their voice and all that. So,
yeah. Have you ever roasted someone that got offended by something you said?
Oh, that's a good question. I'm trying to think. I feel like there's a couple people that were hurt, had their feelings hurt. I'm not going to name names because like I don't, I'm not trying to like they didn't like really come after me or anything about it. Like they just had to lay in bed for a couple days and but was there anyone that got upset? I know there's a few people that have like, I've stung them. I've definitely stung them, but that's it. Like you're on the roast, you're coming at me. The one time that if I don't go after every single person on there as hard as I can, the person that I don't do that to is going to be the person that gets me, that fucks me up in front of everyone. And then I'm embarrassed because I didn't take a fucking hit at this kid. That's what happens. And that's what I did to everyone else when they didn't know me. And no one wrote any jokes about me. And then I get up to just a free at bat and get to go and smash all of them apart. And there's no repercussions. No one can do anything about it. And that's what happens on these things. And so and now I'm in a position where I went from the first guy on the roast and no one knowing me to like, now they're putting me in that spot right before, like I'm like last, right before the guy's rebuttal who's being roasted. So now I got, on local stuff, mostly like Canadian stuff. Yeah. People, they come, now I know everyone's coming at me hard. So like the second I let off the gas, now I got to smash all these little bitches coming up. I don't let off the fucking throttle, man. Like the second I let off the throttle and take it easy on someone, I know they're going to fucking catch my chin. So there's lots of shit you can make fun of me for. I'm pure fucking scum.
Well, this has been great, man. I really appreciate you doing this. And if people want to follow you on social media, where can they do that?
So if you go, you can get me Instagram, Tyler Morrison 123. Follow me on, give me a subscribe on YouTube. My channel is Tyler Morrison, and my podcast is Fight Stories on YouTube. So those are a good place to start. But if you just type my name in, shit should come up. CottageComedy.com has all my albums and specials and stuff. You can get those. Yeah,
how many specials and how many albums do you have now?
So albums, I got 5, and then specials, I have 4. And like they're all like, self-produced. I with me and Shazma did them, and Brandon from Silver Drop. So they've been with me since 2018. So we've done 3 of those together. And then I did one in 2015, Impolitely Canadian. And then my first album is called Armed and Hammered, and that was just an album. But there's clips and stuff from
Armed and Hammered. That's a sick name.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you drunk during the show?
You know what? I wasn't actually. I was pretty good. I was drinking. I was drinking a little bit, but I think I had a cold, so I wasn't getting too stupid. I don't know if I was drunk on any of my specials. I was like, I have a couple beers. It's definitely drinking during them, but I'll if I'm shooting a special, if I got money on the line, I'm gonna wait a little bit.
What is the most and maybe you haven't done this, but have you had a lot of shows where you have been hammered at all?
Oh, buddy, so many.
Yeah.
And I
Can you
always
give
say
me
this.
one that's like stand out as maybe the most hammered or the craziest
Ooh.
that something happened on?
Yeah, well, just I bombed in front of Joey Fatone from NSYNC. That was awesome. I just got blackout drunk. Then I forgot my jokes on stage.
Where was that?
In Toronto. It was at an open mic though. There wasn't really a crowd, you know what I mean? So like it's not, you take that loss with a grain of salt. But
So is he just randomly there?
He was in town shooting my Big Fat Greek Wedding 2. And
Wow.
and so he was there, and he was hanging out, having a few drinks, and then it was just an open mic, and we came up and did the shows. But like we would do our podcast on Sunday nights or on Sunday afternoons in Toronto and just get obliterated. And then people are hitting us up going, hey, you come down to our show or whatever, like, you know, because they know we're in town, or so, you know, or I'm in town. So dropping in, but by that point, it's already too late. It's already too far gone, buddy. I don't know. There's been a few though. Like I've won and lost. If I could, I would give back every single one of my drunken kills to get back one of my drunken bombs. You know what I mean? Like you always feel stupid if you bomb when you're drunk. And I apologize to anyone who's ever seen me bomb when I was drunk.
Well, there you go. There's no better way to end than with a sincere apology about being
tough, man.
drunk.
We can't do what we do. You know what I mean? Like this pandemic, man, I tell you, I feel bad for the bad comedians too, right? Like the comedians who didn't work before this. Cause like none of the good comedians are out on the road, me too, and people. Now they got nothing to blame us. They got to wait for us to say something racist.